Namaste, I am Axat. Welcome to my vlog, and I love spaceflight. You can check out my other space exploration videos in the playlist linked above. But for now, at this moment, while I record this, four humans are in polar orbit around the Earth instead of the usual equatorial or latitudinal orbits. And that in itself is a first, once again achieved, of course, by Elon Musk's SpaceX. Love him or hate him, you can't ignore him. And I think he has done a tremendous job with SpaceX and Tesla. And SpaceX is at the forefront of space exploration right now in terms of reusable booster technology. And I'm hoping that it will continue to break new ground and, you know, get us to Mars eventually, because that is where the next era of human civilization is going to be. The moon, of course, will serve as the stepping stone, as I like to say, but Mars will be the ultimate goal, because in the lunar environment, or the lack of it, humans will need to build completely sheltered accommodations in the lava tubes or in the shadowed regions of the lunar craters, which will be sort of tough. Of course, getting to Mars and getting back is even tougher. But in the long run, you know, 1,000 years ago, getting to America and coming back was kind of impossible. So I guess instead of the sea of water, the ocean of liquid, there is going to be the ocean of empty space for us to cross. But that's for future generations. As for me and you, I guess we are going to be happy if we get to go into above the carbon line and experience weightlessness for a few seconds. But space tourism aside, I think this private expedition, Fram2, which is named after one of the polar exploration vessels uh, back when polar exploration was just beginning. So Fram2 is quite unique. One, because of its polar orbit. It's going to go over the north and south poles, and humans with their own eyes will be able to watch the frozen landscapes there. And it's also going to conduct a very unique thing when they come back down. So when they splash down into the sea, the astronauts are going to exit without any help from external physicians or support personnel. Of course, it's not like they're going to be left on their own. There will be people there, there will be crew there to uh, measure their efforts and to support them after the necessary measurements have been taken. But it's kind of good to test how astronauts react while coming back to the Earth's gravity from weightlessness, and it's going to help us a lot in long-term human spaceflight. Astronauts aboard the ISS have, of course, given a lot of data after spending months and sometimes even a year up there, including the now famous case of the recently returned Sunny Williams and Butch Wilmore, who had to abandon their plans of returning with the Boeing Starliner, which came back to Earth unharmed without them. But it's better to be safe than sorry, especially in space flight, because the first test flight that took off for an orbital launch from European soil ended after just 30 seconds. It lost its steering and exploded in a ball of fire on the surface of the sea. So, thankfully, there was no damage to the launch pad, which is one of the best takeaways from that. And I think Isar Space is the company that's behind it. It's a German company which funded and built the rocket. Funding, of course, from NASA and ESA and all the other stakeholders as well. But that aside, I think it's fraught with danger, and that is why it's very important for us to promote private exploration of space, just like the Blue Ghost lunar lander, which exceeded expectations, performed very well, and also got us a very nice video of the sun setting over the moon. And I think that's one of the beautiful images that puts in context how small we are in terms of galactic spaces. And that's why I say that let's just start with our tidally locked neighbor, the moon, and then let's see what happens in the dark reaches of the universe. Speaking of dark matter, the Euclid Space Telescope's first results gave a goldmine of data in search for dark matter and dark energy. SpaceX just recently last week set a new rocket reuse record on the launch of US spy satellites, and space.com is always my go-to source for all these space exploration news. And they also informed me via email, which I read uh, in these videos, is that there is a fight to save the iconic Royal Greenwich Observatory, which I am sure must have been the site of many satellite and planetary discoveries. And speaking of discoveries, the language that is being removed from Artemis websites to sort of obliterate the discovery or the contributions of Black Americans is not indicating any DEI removal. At least that's what NASA says. And Artemis, of course, is the moon shot that will be taken care of by the SpaceX Starship, which is about to go on another test flight. So, a couple of them, I think there have been 5 or 6 of them to date, and a couple of them were quite successful. Most of them do end up sort of short of the objectives, but that's the point of testing, as was said by the recent ISAR Aerospace chairman or CEO founder about the failure of the rocket. And Rocket Lab, for that matter, launched a Finding Hot Wildfires Near You mission from New Zealand. And then there were the first images of auroras on Neptune that were captured by the James Webb telescope, which is excellent. There was a solar eclipse just a couple of days ago on the 29th of March, and we round up to the first ever orbital rocket launch from European soil falls to Earth and explodes seconds into flight. So, that being said, I am awaiting the Fram2 SpaceX Crew Dragon Resilience to return to Earth safely, and let's see what the astronauts experience, and let's see how much data they give us on which to base further human spaceflight. All right, then. So, thank you so much for watching. Do take care, stay safe, and ad astra.